Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel Rogers, mom and mentor, and today we're tackling the subject of hitting, biting, kicking, all the things that our toddlers do that they know that they shouldn't, but they do anyway. I grew up in a household where I got verbal reprimands and spankings for pretty much everything. We did not do timeout. We didn't talk it out. It was either you got yelled at and you changed your behavior or you got spanked immediately. My parents didn't really have the resources and the research that we do today. I have a wonderful relationship with both of them now, but I realized some things as I grew up that upbringing triggered in my mind some things that in adulthood did not serve me well because of that upbringing. One of the first things that I noticed is that I started having issue after issue after issue with authority figures. And I noticed it in job after job after job after job, and I always thought that it was my boss's fault. So probably from the time that I was like 19 to 29, any job that I had, it was very likely that I had some type of headbutting with one of my authority figures, somebody in authority over me. It wasn't until a little bit later on in my life, probably my mid-30s, that I realized this is a product of how I was raised. Because I was raised with more aggression, like aggressive looks and aggressive tones and physical punishment, my relationship with authority was tainted a little bit. And so when people would try to calmly and lovingly correct me in jobs, I didn't take them seriously. So it would take them getting angry, and it would take multiple offenses for them to get to that point with me. And the turning point for me was whenever I started nannying. I worked for this family for 5 years, and they used a form of conscious discipline. That type of discipline was really an eye-opener for me because I would have gotten big time punishments for the things that these kids would just get verbal reprimands for. And so it really kind of opened my eyes, and it took a little bit of an adjustment period for me because I remember thinking, oh my gosh, are we not going to discipline these kids, And then I realized, oh, wow, not everyone yells at their kids, and not everyone spanks their kids immediately and spanks them for everything. It was very, very eye-opening for me. And honestly, that difference created a shift in my mind where I began to realize I can parent differently, and I want to parent differently. And honestly, my hope is that Peyton will learn from mine and Jason's mistakes, and that she starts to parent differently even, and that she does better. Now, I want to break down why we feel triggered when our kids hit, bite, or kick us, or when they hit, bite, or kick siblings or pets or children at the playground or whatever it is. Our first response is to be like, what are you thinking? But as we've talked about in previous videos, their prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for calm decision making and the control of impulses and emotions, is not fully developed yet. It's not even fully developed until they're in their mid-20s. So the truth of the matter is that they aren't thinking. They don't have the mental capacity and the brain development to work through situations like this on their own yet. They have to learn those behaviors. They have to learn by redirection and respectful, calm discipline. In fact, when we respond aggressively, whether it's through the look on our face, the tone of our voice, or through the discipline of our hands in a situation like that, that type of behavior, that type of aggression from us automatically says to their tiny little brains that we are a threat, and it shuts down their prefrontal cortex. So they are then completely incapable of making a calm decision or controlling their impulses or emotions. So it's so vital that in these situations, we learn to stay calm. We learn to control our own emotions, our own impulses, because what happens? Your kid hits you and your body says fight or flight, right? You have that same trigger response. But the difference is that your prefrontal cortex is fully developed. So you do have the ability to control it. It's not always easy, but you do have the toolkit. You just need to use the tools. And in using that toolkit, you are then modeling to your child, this is how we stay calm when we feel triggered. This is how we control our impulses and emotions when we feel angry or we feel frustrated or we feel hurt. So how can you practically do that? How can you control your emotions and impulses? And how can you help redirect your child and give them some type of outlet to feel what they're feeling? The feelings are not bad. The behaviors may be, but the feelings in and of themselves are not bad. This is when I encourage parents to use the 4 words that every toddler parent needs. I won't let you. Let's say you have a toddler that consistently hits the pets or siblings or people in the household, or maybe hitting people on the playground. You can walk up to that child, get down on their level, and calmly say, I won't let you hit. I can see that you're frustrated, and it's okay to feel frustrated, but it's not okay to hit people or pets when we feel that frustration. Once you have okayed the emotion, but also told them that the behavior needs to change, you can then give them 2 options. The first is to hit an inanimate object like a pillow or the couch. Now, some people will ask here, well, isn't that still teaching them that hitting is okay? But what we're teaching them in this scenario is that there is a big difference between animate objects and inanimate objects. Hitting people and pets can be hurtful. Hitting a pillow does not hurt the pillow, but it still allows them to work out that frustration. And if we're honest with ourselves as adults, sometimes we need to bury our head in a pillow and scream too. Sometimes we need to punch a pillow too, right? We get that worked up. We feel those same feelings, and sometimes we need an outlet as well. It is not wrong to feel frustration or disappointment or anger or sadness, but what we do with those emotions can determine whether we're doing something right or wrong. So by offering something inanimate to our children that cannot be damaged or hurt to work out their frustration, we are letting them feel those feelings without hurting or damaging any person or any pet. If they do choose to continue that behavior, which is very likely, you can very gently and calmly hold their hands and say, I can see that you're having a hard time not hitting. I'm going to help you by holding your hands. This may feel like constraint to them, and they might protest, they might push back, but you can again gently say to them, I want to let your hands go. I want to let you be free, but if you can't be nice with your hands, if you can't use your hands gently, then I have to help keep you safe and everyone else around you safe by holding you here. Do you think you're ready to be gentle with your hands now? And once they say, yeah, I'm ready to be calm, then you let them go. If they repeat the behavior, you repeat the entire process, and you do it again and again and again as many times as it takes. And I know that as parents and as adults, we're thinking, can't you get this down? But your children, especially your strong-willed children, are going to push those boundaries. And honestly, that's a very good thing because you want them to exercise their free will. I always say that strong-willed children make the best world changers. And it's okay for them to push the boundary a little bit, but you have to make sure that that boundary line stays solidified, that it stays consistent, so that they know that you have created very safe boundaries for both you, them, and all the people around you both. Last thing that I tell parents to identify whenever their kids are acting out like this, it goes back to frustration being communication. Most of the time when a child is hitting, kicking, biting, acting out in such aggressive ways, they are trying to vocalize a need that they have. That need might just be a basic need. It might simply be that they are hungry or hangry, if you will. They might just be thirsty or tired or just flat out bored, and they just wanted to do something that seemed a little bit fun. They wanted to exercise that lack of impulse control. It was an impulse, it sounded good, I thought I'd do it, so I did it. It could just be that simple. But sometimes it can also be that one of their love tanks is not full, and so they are acting out because they need to have their love tank filled. You might have heard of the book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. He also has a book called The 5 Love Languages of Children that is fantastic for parents to read so that you can better understand how to fill the love tanks of your children. I've done quite a few videos on TikTok and Instagram about this, but I may have to do a full YouTube video to break it down even further, but that's going to have to be a separate one. There's a lot of really good information in that subject, and it helped me so much to understand why Peyton might have been acting out when she was. I hope that this information was helpful for you today. I'm so honored to support you on your motherhood journey, and make sure that you subscribe so that you get the alerts whenever we post a new video. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye, y'all.